had to go almost 300 days without funded care for their disabled son because local health officials have failed to find and pay for carers. John Morrison argues that 37-year-old John Morrison is being denied critical home care that he is entitled to and fear he may be placed in a care home. Suzanne says she's been fighting for her son, John, who has cerebral palsy since 2009, when continuing healthcare was removed. We heard the family's story on our programme last year.
John Morrison has cerebral palsy, which means he can't use his arms or legs. His funding was withdrawn in 2009 because he no longer met the criteria for continuing healthcare, despite his condition remaining the same.
Fighting for John has nearly broken me. Watching somebody disappear when you know that for a simple amount of money it can be stopped. It's depressing, it's demoralising, it encompasses every conversation I have with my lovely husband, who sometimes just turns off because he's heard what I've said so many times.
You'd like to give up sometimes, but I can't, because I won't give up. It's not what we'll be doing.
A decade later, and their battle for continuing healthcare funding has paid off. In the last week, Wiltshire Clinical Commissioning Group has concluded that John now qualifies for fully funded care. His parents say they now intend to claim £300,000 back from the NHS, having spent their own money on his care.
Well, it should be a happy outcome, shouldn't it? But despite that care being reinstated after they spoke to us in 2019, it again stopped when the care agency contract ended after 3 months, and it never started again. Well, Suzanne and John join us now in the hope of raising awareness of what we know is a problem being faced by thousands of families across the country. Good morning. Hello, John. How are you doing, John? Thanks for talking to us.
That is all right.
What about you, Suzanne? How are you?
Exhausted. We've worked now 299 days today. We've gone through lockdown. We've had no help at all. We've had to perform all physio, meet all John's needs.
And Suzanne, will you tell our audience what kind of care John needs on a day-to-day basis?
John has got quadriplegic cerebral palsy, which means that he can't physically do anything. He has to be hoisted for everything. He can't reposition himself. He's at risk of pressure areas. He has to be toileted, bathed every day. And he's also nutritionally challenged, so he's on supplements. He currently weighs 45 kilos, 45.6 kilos this week. He's been on these supplements now since 2016, and he's literally grown 2 kilos. People like John actually have very high metabolic rates, even though they look like they're not doing anything. They are doing a marathon every 24 hours. So, we've had to meet all their needs and to keep him well. My husband and I have had to put off our own health issues. I've had to cancel. I've got a 10mm kidney stone, which I've had to try and work through the pain, and I've booked now for an admission into our local hospital as a planned admission.
Right. So for you and your husband, this is really tough, isn't it?
We're not whingers, Victoria. We just get on with it, and basically my lovely husband has got a vascular problem with his legs, which means that basically his legs are swollen. And we got up this morning, John woke us up this morning at 15, and we probably will actually climb into bed until about 11:30 tonight.
Right. Now, you won the funding, as we just saw in that clip when you were last on our old programme. You were unhappy with the care that was provided by the carers commissioned by local health officials in August 2019. That contract was eventually terminated by the care company last November. You haven't had any funded care since then. How are you going to get that changed? Because you and your husband can't carry on like this.
Well, sort of using the communities that are out there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that I'm speaking for today, not just John. John is my concern because he's my disabled person. But there are thousands of people in this country that unnecessary barriers are placed in front of you all the time. I arranged an assessment by a care company 5 weeks ago, and then more barriers are put in your way. And this, I don't know whether you can see this. This is the framework that the CCGs are supposed to work to.
Right.
It's 167 pages, and
but I'm sorry to interrupt, Suzanne. You got the money. They said they'll pay for it.
Yeah.
They just need to find the carers.
They haven't done anything. They've even used an excuse. Sadly, my brother passed away in January suddenly, but the day before he passed away, I left him with my mum in the hospital, and I arranged 2 assessments. I went out to the corridor and I arranged 2 assessments with two companies to come and assess John. I'm available for all the assessments. John is available for all the assessments. And it goes to the CCG and then nothing.
Right.
Like this recent one, you get nothing back. But
well, this is what they say, because I have got a statement from them. They say, this is Bath and North East Somerset, Swindon and Wiltshire CCG. That's the local, commissioning health group. Mr. Morrison's wellbeing and care has been our priority over many years. We've worked actively with his family to assess and fund the right support. Mr. Morrison has an absolute right to confidentiality about all aspects of his care, and so we're not able to discuss any details of his care or funding. We are committed to working with him and his family to ensure he receives appropriate continuing healthcare support. Now, I understand, Suzanne, that it costs around £18,000 a year for you to hire your own carer for John, despite the fact that he's got this funding package from the local health officials.
yeah.
What will happen in 2 months' time when you say you will run out of money to hire your own carer, and if you still haven't got carers sorted out by the local health officials?
Well, all they keep suggesting, Victoria, is I informed them in July I had my kidney stone that was causing me pain. Put him in a care home. July, we
Hang on a minute. They suggested that you put him in a care home.
Yeah, during COVID.
And what do you think about that?
Well, basically, would you put somebody into a care home currently with COVID?
No, I wouldn't. But what were can you remember what your thoughts were, what your emotions were when that suggestion was made to you?
I was just appalled. He meets the criteria. You fight for this wonderful word called eligibility, and then the next barriers get put into place, and barriers keep getting put into your place all the time. There is no reason, and I found this today. It's a core principle that neither a CCG nor a local authority should unilaterally withdraw from an existing funding arrangement without a joint reassessment of the individual and without first consulting one another and the individual about the proposed change arrangements. Therefore, if there's a change in eligibility, it is essential alternative funding arrangements are agreed and put into effect before the withdrawal of existing funding.
Yeah, I understand that.
And that is actually from the national framework that the CCGs are supposed to work by.
So I want Suzanne, in case that somebody from the local CCG is watching, what would be your message to them finally, right now?
John needs carers. John needs safe, consistent, well-trained care. And, you can't keep providing people with poor quality care agencies who cannot meet John's needs. John actually had lots of things happen to him during that period in time, which were all reported. John was dropped off a toilet, hoisted inappropriately, which could have meant he would have dropped 5 foot to the floor from a ceiling tracking hoist. And he suffered a drag lift, which is an illegal move, actually as designated by the Royal College of Nursing, a drag lift, which is common assault. That is why the care company terminated their contract. It's because I made a complaint.
And I've got, just to round up finally, I've got a statement from the organisation. They say, we're an organisation genuinely focused on quality care. We're confident in the abilities of our highly trained staff. The well-being of Mr Morrison was our priority while we provided support. We treat any complaint or allegation seriously. We investigate thoroughly. We work transparently with all relevant external parties to address any identified concerns and implement learnings from any incident. There were no recommendations for improvements made to us from any agency relating to the time we provided support to Mr Morrison. Suzanne, John, thank you so much for being with us this morning. You are definitely raising awareness. There'll be many other families, I'm sure, in similar situations to yourself, and we will keep reporting on your case until you get the help you need. Thank you so much for talking to us again.
Thank you, Victoria.
Thanks, John. Take care. Thanks, Suzanne.